So what did you feel about it, though?
Then she wants to know.
What you mean?
Your feelings.
My feelings about the atomic bomb?
Yeah.
You tell people all the time.
I tell people every chance that I get
Yes, you do.
that you want to vote for somebody who doesn't have a nervous finger.
Oh, no.
And vote for politicians that have good common sense and good judgment. Because once the atomic bomb is used, there's going to be nothing left anywhere.
Right.
Because one will retaliate, the other will retaliate, and there won't be anything. And believe me, there is nothing. There's nothing but dust. I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
Wow.
And it's hard to explain to people, what an atomic bomb does, but
you try to do it, Wally.
yeah.
He tries to do it. He tries.
I try to tell everyone.
Yeah.
Use good judgment when you're voting, when you're going to the polls to vote for someone. Make sure that guy has his head screwed on right.
Very wise advice.
Yeah,
I really love that.
Yeah, I can't say it in any other.
He says it all the time to
Yes,
people when he meets them and gets to talking with them.
Yeah.
But
He's
very, very adamant about it. Don't ever let anyone use an atomic bomb on anyone or anything ever
again.
And then he tells them a little quick story. But
like I told you, one little bomb in that area killed 80,000 people.
That's just incomprehensible.
In one instant, less than a second.
Wow.
And they disappeared. It isn't that they fell down dead. They didn't exist. Nothing existed.
Just gone.
Dust. Yeah,
just
it was
gone.
all dust. Yeah.
They returned to dust.
Yeah. Absolute dust.
Yep.
Absolute
that's
dust.
That's biblical. That
it
start from dust and you return to dust.
Well, you're right there.
And when you
You're
think
right
about
there.
cremation, that's what that is dust.
That's
Yes.
what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
It's biblical.
that was an example, like, for you to unfortunately see without knowing that's what happened to the people. They'd returned to dust.
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Sad.
And my gosh.
Now, did you ever hear any news about the war when you were out on the ships and stuff?
Did they keep you posted about what's going on?
The only time that we heard anything about the war was when they one day or night, or I can't remember, they put Tokyo Rose was blasting away. And they put it on the speakers on the ship's intercom. And we could hear her describing what ships were in the harbor at Okinawa, at Buckner Bay. And she described the ships that were at Buckner Bay.
And what was the name of your ship again?
Green, Greene.
USA Green.
Did you hear her? Did you hear her mention your ship?
Oh no, we were probably the least mentioned ship because here again we were built in 1918. No, she mentioned the one of the carriers that was sunk. It was actually sunk there at Okinawa. Let me tell you about one day on the picket line. They had a picket line between Japan and Okinawa. The picket line consisted of capital ships, in other words, cruisers, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and flat tops, carriers. And this line of ships was spread out about, I think we were about 100 miles or more from Okinawa, out at sea. and stretched out in a line between us and Japan. These ships were stretched out in a line, and the one day the Japanese sent 700 planes, 700 kamikazes. I believe 700 or 900, but it's in writing, and I'll have to find that and send it to you. But anyway, a few of those planes got through. This line of ships with carriers and so forth, and incidentally, it had British carriers in there too.
Yeah.
In fact, the one British carrier, the only the only name I can remember, HMS Speaker.
It's on this map.
Yeah,
too.
it's on that map. Yeah,
It's on this map.
and
HMS
that speaker, they asked us to pull alongside one day. We pulled alongside, and they sent a line over, shot a line over, and they sent over two great big packages, boxes or whatever you want to call it, on these lines. And what it was well, what sailors called gee dunk. It was ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
And because we didn't have any facilities on our ship to make ice cream or anything like that, see. But that was a British carrier, the HMS Speaker, that sent over ice cream to us.
That's awesome.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
I love
we
it.
hadn't had the ice cream for years, and all of a sudden, bingo.
And the ice cream man came on a ship.
Yeah.
You had the
It
ice
wasn't
cream
good
man
humor,
come.
but it
Yeah.
probably gave a lot of good
Yeah.
humor.
But at
That's
that,
good.
when those 700 planes came over, our
That's
sister
terrible.
ship was hit by two of those
Kamikaze.
kamikaze,
Mm.
and the name of that ship was boy, I'll think of it.
Okay.
But anyway, it was our sister ship that was built at the same time our ship was built. So it was an old rotted out piece of junk compared to all the rest of the ships, So Barry, the name was Barry.
Okay.
Barry.
Barry.
Yeah, Barry. And that was I can't remember the number of it, but it was a ship exactly like the ship I was on, and built at the same time. And but it was hit by two kamikaze and killed. We believe of course we couldn't find any survivors, so it killed everyone on that ship.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
When we pulled alongside of it, it was burnt from one end to the other.
Wow. Now, we were talking a little bit about Tokyo Rose. Did you ever listen to Access Sally or Tokyo Rose sometimes?
Oh, that was the only time we ever heard it. And see, here again, when you're on a ship, you're like you're on an island, and you only participate in what they want you to participate in. So they put it on from our radio room, and they put it on the intercom system. But then that was just that one thing that I ever heard. That was the only broadcast I ever heard.
Now, at any point during the war, did you ever worry that the Allies might not win?
No. I never entertained that thought. No.
That's awesome.
I knew that all of our guys were doing everything that they possibly could.
Yes.
And all of our ships were seemed to be run good. A ship has to be run just like ours was, in order to make it effective.
Yes. You have to be on top of everything, and everyone has to do their part.
You've got to have one guy in charge, and you've got to depend on him making the right decisions, and you've got to follow him. And that's...
It has to go that way.
that's the way I felt about it. Yeah. And we had a good captain and a good crew. And all of the ships that we were involved with seemed to be very well handled, you know, and it was all, everything was work, you know, do this, do that, do the other thing. And of course, we had no time for, like on our ship, we had no lunchroom. You know, we didn't have any. We had shaving cream. We had toothpaste, and the rest of it was ship stores. In other words, coffee, food, you know, and things of that nature.
Now, while overseas, did you have contact with civilians?
No.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Let me say it this way. When we were in Philippines, in Tacloban Bay, that was the only time that I ever saw a civilian in Tacloban Bay itself. That was, and these were people that had been living along the shoreline. Looked like they were living in grass huts.
Now, how did you feel when your tour ended?
Well, I was wondering, where in the heck am I going to find a job? You know, here's a, because I didn't get out until 1945 or 46. And there was a lot of guys out before me, you know, millions of guys looking for a job or getting a job or whatever. And I was wondering, you know, where in the world am I going to fit in? Although I had good training in the Navy, so I felt my electrical experience and training will help me get a job in the electrical field.
Absolutely.
And sure enough, it did. I got a job on the Reading Railroad in the signal department.
Nice. And what was your highest rank you received?
In the Navy?
Yep.
Fireman first class.
Fireman first class. Did you receive any medals or citations?
I think it's a Presidential Unit Citation for the Pacific Theater. Yeah, that's all.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
Now, where were you when the war ended, and what were your thoughts at that time?
Let me say, I'm going to back up a little bit. We were in the Philippines. We were in the Philippines, and there was a, all of a sudden, one of the ships, we were in Tacloban Bay, and one of the carriers there started sending up flares and like 4th of July stuff. And we were wondering what in the heck is happening. And then all of a sudden a notice came over the intercom. Apparently the war has been declared over. And then we saw other ships putting up flares, just like 4th of July.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden it stopped. And then they came on the intercom and said that was a false alarm.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
That's what actually happened.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah.
And what did you guys think? I'm sure some of you were like, no, it really is over. But then some of you were just wondering, you know, what did you think?
I didn't think it was over. I didn't think it was over. No, and when they came on, you know, and said that was a false alarm, and I thought, well, that's a hell of a note, you know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
somebody would, you know, send off those doggone things. Now, what brought that on? Here again, it was a big ship. Here I was on a ship, what, 130 guys or something like that, and so you couldn't start a rumor.
Right.
Like I say, that when you're on a ship, it's like living on an island owned by somebody else
Mhm.
and run by somebody else. And you have to depend on the guy that owns it
Yeah.
to have good judgment
Right.
and hope like hell that he goes to Sunday school. You know,
Yes. So important.
just
So
like
important.
Labruto.
Amen.
Brutal, yeah.
I love
He
it.
goes to
Did
mass every morning.
mass every
Oh.
morning? Yes. Do you
Yeah.
Yes.
do you think your captain was like that?
Yes, our captain was a very, very level-headed guy. And he had good officers under him. And he had good officers because he was a good guy. He treated them properly, you know, and they treated him properly.
You know, that's such
And-
a thing is
And
if the leader above is a good person
yeah,
and he's able to share that leadership and be
Yep.
generous in that, and it can go and flow down to the next tier and the next tier, that's when you have a great team of leadership.
yes, that's right.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
and everybody in the crew depends on the officers being good, level-headed people that can make proper decisions.
I love it. Now,
Now,
Because there's
yeah.
so much in decisions that could wipe out a ship.
Well,
Yeah.
the decision he had to make
Yeah.
was everybody, you told me, he said at the end, everybody save yourself.
Oh, yeah.
All overboard, everybody save yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things that the captain finally did make. His last decision that he made was that the ship is sinking and abandon ship. He said abandon ship and every man for himself.
self. Every
That
man
was-
take care of yourself.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was after Labruto
Was
did
praying for
the
mass.
prayer.
Yeah, Labruto had to sign off on that part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, my
But
gosh.
that was the last decision that our captain really had to make.
Yes.
You know, and as far as the ship still being afloat, you know.
Did you see
And,
him? That is something to ask. Did you see him once the ship sank? Did you see him on the island?
Yes.
Good.
So we saw a few of the guys on the island. No, we didn't see him on the island. No.
Mm.
No, I saw him, later on in I guess a newsprint that one of the guys put out later
Okay.
on after the war.
And the captain
Okay,
did
so he was
survive.
okay.
Yeah, the captain survived. Yeah. Mhm.
That's awesome. Now, how and when did you return home?
I returned home. Well, after we were left the island, I went on to I was assigned to a yard repair ship. And I spent, I guess maybe 2 months or on that yard repair ship. And during my time there, I worked on some electrical portions of small craft. The yard repair ship, it's like a little floating dock. You could sink it and then ships could, or boats could come in, and then they pump the water out and raise it, and there the boat's sitting on the deck. See,
Hmm.
and we could repair the small craft. They call them small craft, LCVPs, and so things like of that nature. See, that's what we did on that ship. But I like I said, I was there about 2 months maybe, and then I was sent to shore base in they housed us in tents
And where was that at?
for about 2 weeks. We were there on tents for about 2 weeks, waiting for a transfer to a ship to go home.
And where did you end up coming home to? What part of America did you end up coming?
Well, I came into San Diego, and from San Diego took a train to Bainbridge, Maryland, I believe it was. And then in Bainbridge, I was discharged, and then I took a train home.
Now, what time of the year was that? Do you know around the date that was?
I would say that was probably May, something like that.
Of 1945?
46.
46. Mm-hmm. Now, what was the first thing you ended up doing once you got home?
Try to find a job. And I did find my first job was with a local electrician, an electrical contractor in Philadelphia. And then I applied for a job on the Reading Railroad, and in the signal department, and I got hired in the signal department.
Nice.
And,
did you enjoy that?
Oh yeah, and I finally became a general foreman in the signal department, and I was in charge of maintenance on the Philadelphia division, which went to New York.
How long did you do that?
I worked on the Reading Railroad for 10 years.
And what did you end up doing after that?
Well, then I was offered a job with the Union Switch and Signal Company, which was at the time the largest signal, what do you want to call it, manufacturer of signal systems in the world. And these are signal systems for railroads. The control systems for railroads. They control the trains. And then I started with them in Pittsburgh, and then I was finally transferred to the Empire State Building in New York.
Wow.
And I worked out of the Empire State Building, and my principal customer in New York was the New York Transit Authority. And then from there, and I also had the New England states in the United States. And I had all the railroads in the New England states. That is selling and engineering for their signal systems.
Wow.
And this is the subway system in Boston. All of the railroads in the New England states.
Wow.
And then I was given the railroads in Georgia. And that was the Southern Railroad and the Central of Georgia. And then I was transferred to, and in the meantime, I left the Empire State Building and went to Dunwoody, Georgia. and then in Dunwoody, Georgia, I continued working that, but now only the southern states. And then I was transferred to Chicago. And then I was in Chicago, and here I owned a house in Dunwoody. Then I bought a house in Chicago, and I invited my wife up to pick out the tile and you know, and wallpaper and stuff like that. It was a brand new house in Downers Grove, Chicago, and we were sitting. This was in a January, bad day. I mean, it was really bad in Chicago. You know, in Chicago, things get really cold
Yes.
and nasty, you know. And we were sitting in the hotel room, and she said, "Do you like it here?" And I said, "Hell no." She says, "Then what are we doing here?" So I
Let's
quit my
move to the
job.
south.
I quit my job the next day. But fortunately, I had been on a hunting trip with the president of Motorola about a month before that, and after when the hunting trip was over with, that's where they invite people into, you know, to hunt in a lodge. And there were 4 of us in this particular lodge, and in our group, and the one guy was the president of Motorola. And he said, "Hey," he says, "if you're ever interested in another working somewhere else," he says, "let me know." This is when we left, you know, when we broke up. And well, when I quit my job that next day, I called him on the phone, and he said, "Where do you want to work?"
How awesome is that?
Yeah. And I told him Atlanta, and sure enough, I wound up with Motorola in Atlanta.
That is wonderful. And that's so cool, because Motorola, you know, to be able to have had that connection with the president of the company, and the opportunity for you to just be able to transfer and move away from the cold.
To have him as a roommate, you know.
That's awesome.
At the hunting lodge was great. Yeah.
That is really awesome.
Yeah, it just things just worked out great, and then yeah, and I worked for them for a number of years. So, but that thing that incident happened just at the right time.
Yes, it absolutely did.
Yeah.
Now you are still working.
Yes. I have my own company.
Yes.
It's called Railroad Traffic Control.
Okay. I love it.
And I've had this company for maybe 50 years now.
That's amazing. If you've had your company for 50 years, it was probably in the 60s when you started your company.
Yeah, it was in the 60s, and I just can't remember the dates anymore. I'll have to put it all together. I should have, you know, I should have kept track of everything, but when I started, you know, when I left Motorola, and then I started my own company, and I got so busy, and we had so much work. And I think we had at one time 35 people in construction alone.
Wow.
And then in the office, I had another, I guess 25, something like that.
I mean, it amazes me how busy you are. You know, we were supposed to get together 2 other times, and it amazes me how busy and outgoing you are, going and checking on the sites and just doing the work. It's just, you're just a go-getter.
Well, that's the only way to keep alive, you know.
It is.
In fact, we were just up at Toyo Tire. They had an incident Toyo Tire. We maintain their highway crossing signal systems.
Mm.
And they had an incident there, and we had to go up and clear that up. So
Yes, and that's what you were
And,
doing the other day.
yeah, right. Mhm.
That's awesome. Now you also had other siblings who served in the war too, and two of them were ladies.
My older sister Esther she joined the army. She had been a nurse, and she had gone through college in Philadelphia,
Mhm.
and she was working in a hospital, and when the war started, and she joined the army right away, and she was an army nurse for 4 years. And then my other sister joined the Waves just after that, and she was in the Waves for almost 4 years. And then my brother joined the Coast Guard, and he was in there maybe 3 years.
Wow. Now, how have your wartime experiences affected your life?
Well, first of all, it gave me the necessary training that I appreciated and needed in order to pursue my profession or jobs in civilian life.
Mm-hmm.
Then my experience at Nagasaki, I can't explain to people how cautious they have to be. And I think I've said this several times.
Yes.
About who they select to run their government.
We so
And-
need to hear that now.
Oh,
This story that you're able to share is so important and vital now as much as it was back then.
yeah,
You know, that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing, is for people to kind of just think a little bit more about the here and now, connect better with one another, but
Yeah.
also appreciate and get to know your stories, you know?
yes. Well, you're amplifying my story a million times, you know, more than I can, because everyone I meet, I try to avoid conversations about the war,
Mhm.
but I do want them to understand that the atomic bomb it's if we don't have people in control that have good common sense,
Yes.
then there will be no people.
Right.
It will all be animals. What's left?
What's left? Yeah.
We'll have to resort to being animals.
Well, perfectly said.
Yeah, it
That's
just
Now,
it you know, it's just so frightening that
Yeah.
you know to walk over that what used to be a city, and you're walking in dust. You know, you can
Right.
see where the roads were, you can see where the town was, but there's nothing left to it. No
It's-
people,
just dust.
no nothing.
Wow.
Uh,
Incredible.
Yes, it's not like bombings, you know, that tore buildings apart and killed a lot of people. You know, one little damn bomb. And,
Did all that.
Now I understand that the bombs are 100 times more powerful.
I couldn't imagine. And I don't want to, I don't ever want to know,
Right. Yeah,
there's-
that's why you want to impress people that vote for someone who's going to be level-headed.
Yes. And we need to be
Maybe
praying for our leaders.
Maybe Labruto would be the guy.
Maybe he will be the next guy. and pray for your leaders. That's what we're supposed to do
Yes.
anyways.
Yes.
I do that every day.
Good for you. Good for you.
You're a good
Yes,
person,
you're
Kathy.
you're
My
you're
gosh.
a worthy person, by golly.
Oh, she's more than
You
worthy.
both are too.
She's good.
Kudos.
Well, you
Kudos.
both are awesome too. Thank you. How has your military service impacted your feelings about war?
That's the same thing.
It
don't want
is,
one.
yeah, the same
Yeah,
thing.
you kind of mentioned that. I'm sorry.
No
Yeah,
war,
don't-
no
no
war.
war. Wars do not.
Accomplish anything.
Well, what they do, what we have to do is to control the people who want to start wars.
Mhm.
If we can control other governments, you know, and get the right thoughts in and the right controls for them, but
Yes.
we're facing that right now with this thing in Russia.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's
Right back
It-
to it.
yeah.
You know,
We are.
again, you know, we saw that on the news last night, and I was telling my husband, you know, I'm reading in Daniel right now, and the gentleman that was kind of given excerpts about Daniel, you know, Russia's one of the countries in the end times. I mean, it's thought to believe that, you know, that's one of the descriptions of one of the countries that,
Yep. You're
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
In Daniel.
Yeah, in Daniel.
Mhm.
It's hard to see that we're still in this.
Yeah.
Now, what message and life advice would you like to leave for future generations who will see this interview?
Here again, be cautious about who is in charge of your country and your life and the world.
Yes.
Make sure these people that are in that have control of and can make decisions are good, level-headed, and hopefully religious people.
Good
Yes.
Christians. Wow.
Christians.
Good Christians.
Good Christians,
Christians.
that's
We need that. We need
Yeah,
to
we
see
need it.
Christ back in our life.
Yes,
yes,
we do.
we need it so much anymore.
He's going away more and more.
Yeah,
More and more
Yes.
people are ignoring the
Yeah.
fact that he's up there.
Now, the last question is there anything else people should know about you that we haven't covered?
no.
Do you want me to tell them, Wally?
Well, well,
Uh-oh.
I have a family and of 6 children, and they're still all alive.
Scattered all over.
They're
though.
scattered all over,
Yeah.
and I certainly hope that they make good judgments during their lifetime,
Mhm.
and wind up to be, and most of them at the present time are all but one are good, stable, logical thinking people.
That's what you want. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you want. Is there anything else we haven't discussed that you wanted to share, or did we cover everything?
I think you covered
No, I
a
think we've
lot.
covered everything.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything
Well,
else.
he's had a good long life.
Yeah.
He's been a good Christian. I want you to know that.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
Well,
He's honest, and you're honest, and you try real hard to do the right thing all the time.
well,
You
yeah.
try hard.
yeah, and I try to employ people that think the same way. I'm hoping that they do, and
Yes.
most of them do, and their actions. I would like their actions to be
Good, honest.
compatible
Yeah.
with good judgment
Yeah.
and good treatment of other people.
Yeah.
It's what you want. You know, our pastor was talking about that the other day, that having a good, solid 5 people in your life, good people, to surround yourself with good people. And, you
Yeah.
know, with your workforce, you want that. And again, the good leadership goes down the tiers if you have good leadership. And when you can have unity with the people you work with, that is just a blessing beyond
That's
blessings.
a blessing. But
Yes, you're
a
right.
lot of people
You're
don't
right.
have that
Yes.
blessing, and it's too sad. It's very sad.
Yeah.
It makes it so hard.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does. It does.
Well, I so thank you for allowing me to interview you. Thank you for both of you guys coming out here. And
Okay.
if there's a way to get a picture of that map of like, even if it's in sections, to be able to get that, that would be phenomenal. To, you
Well,
know,
He has it, you still have that this
Yeah.
map in the small version, don't you?
Well, I
The
have it,
paper
I have
version.
it, no, not in a small, but I got it folded up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I can send you a copy.
Yeah.
that would be wonderful. That,
Kathy,
that,
we don't, do you want us to have your address? Because he's got all these papers that are wonderful that he would like
Yes.
you to have copies of. He knows you would appreciate it, whether
I
you
so-
use them or not, just looking through and reading them. It's fascinating and it's
Well,
good
this one,
information.
for instance, Kathy, the one about the bombings,
Atomic bombings, yeah.
that is, how many pages
Oh
would you
my
say that
gosh,
is?
Wally, 40 pages?
Yeah, maybe 40.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Wow.
got about 40 pages in it.
wow.
And the other one, that's this one here.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and this
Oh,
has probably.
Yeah, that's about the one about the typhoon,
Yeah, that would have about
Uh,
15 or 20.
and it
pages, yeah.
lists,
ships.
it lists
Look.
all of the ships.
And each one, how,
And,
what kind
yeah,
of damage?
Yeah, what kind of damage had occurred on each ship.
And not
the-
only that.
These were all damaged ships.
Yeah, and when some were refloated,
Yeah,
not yours, Wally, yours
No.
was decommissioned
yeah,
November 24th.
yeah.
But there's dates here, Kathy, that it's interesting to just to read the dates and see the different times that these ships were either recommissioned or decommissioned to see what happened to them. You know, all these
Wow.
wonderful, wonderful ships, but you
That's
know,
amazing.
a lot of them lost at sea or, you know, something happened to them. But anyways,
That would
we'd
be
like you to
wonderful.
have this paperwork if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Oh, you have the
Yeah, I'll
the
send this,
original?
yeah, this stuff
Oh,
here.
wow.
I have
Okay,
the
good.
originals, yeah, that'd be
And-
fine.
I am excited, and I thank you guys for being
Well-
here and doing this interview. I so appreciate. Okay,
Okay,
That'd be
Kathy.
swell.
Yeah.
you all have a great day, and thank you so much for interviewing,
Right.
taking the time for the interview.
And
And-
I
And
want to
thank you very much.
Yeah, we want to thank you for doing what you do, because I think it's very important for the younger generation. They just don't understand. It's because they don't know, Kathy.
They can't understand.
They can't
because-
understand because they don't know it. And so for them, this isn't, I hate to say it, they don't think this is interesting. And we're always
No.
talking to, I have a big family too, a very large family. And we're always talking about Wally went here or Wally did that or something. The kids, oh, okay. And then you know it's going boom right over their head.
Yes, yes. No, you know
Well-
what? I really do need to think on it, because initially it's just the YouTube channel to start people being able to look at it and hear the stories. But it's possible later that there might be some way to go further with it with another film project, because that is my goal. I'm with everything I'm doing, even this TV show that I'm working on putting together. It's about connecting people with the communities in our country with each other.
Uh-huh.
And it's historical. And in some places it involves veterans, World War veterans, but more than anything, it's helping these younger generations to learn different parts of our history and enjoy doing it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And if they, you know, if you make it as, it seems like that's what you're doing, making it interesting, they have a better chance of enjoying it, you know, and listening and believing it. So anyways, I know when Wally talks about some of the things, the kids, yeah, they'll go, wow, you did that or that happened. And you wonder if they believe him because they can't visualize it. They can't imagine, you know, how
No,
bad
they,
it's been.
no, they can't visualize it, and their minds are going, so their minds are so busy now. And
Yeah.
yeah,
you know,
that's
and
right.
the electronics, they kind of
Yeah,
get, you
You're
know,
right. You're
gets them
right.
sidetracked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you all have a
anyways.
good afternoon, and
You
and
too.
You
thank
too,
you so
and
much.
thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, you were a blessing. Thank you for allowing me to be able to interview you. You take
Okay.
God
care.
bless you, Kathy.
Right.
God bless.
Yes, God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too.
And I'm
Thank you.
sure Labruda will like it.
He'll even
I'm
go
sure-
to an extra mass.
We'll go to an extra mass just for him.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Right,
All
right.
righty.
Bye-bye.